All right, welcome to the show, everybody. Super excited for today's call, podcast, whatever we're calling this now. Today I have with me Mike Tecku and Mike Hanson. I'm super excited. Mike and Mike are two entrepreneurs I met in San Francisco. We're part of a elite group of entrepreneurs that got together for a little lunch one day, and we're all part of an online group, and we got together to kind of meet face to face. And I was really excited to hear about their story, and I'm really excited to kind of do this interview to find out kind of some things that have changed since we met and talked that day. And because it sounds like a lot has, or I think it has, either that or you guys weren't letting on to how good things were quite yet. So I don't know how long this, we'll kind of get into this in a minute, but have a company right now that builds and sells photo booths. And when I say photo booths, I mean the kind that when you're at a wedding, at a party, or you've probably seen them in malls or places where there's video games. You pop in, you put your money in, and they take a picture. Or at weddings, you just pop in and take pictures, and they print them out, and etc. So they started a business doing that, and it's gone on to be really successful, and it's kind of giving these guys a great life now. And they've got it, I think, we'll find out a little bit further, for the most part, fully automated and systematized so that they can be doing other things, and the business is making money. So was that a fair intro?
Yeah. Sounds pretty good to me.
I didn't lie about anything there?
No, you could have fluffed it up a little bit better. We'll take it.
All right, well, that will come out in the details. So, all right, so just to rewind a little bit, the name of the company, and I just had it up here a minute ago, is Strike a Pose Photo Booths. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and how did you guys get the concept or the idea to start a company selling photo booths?
I'll let Mike take that one over.
I was DJing weddings, and we were at a wedding expo, and I just saw this line of women trying to get to rent photo booths. And I was like, how much are those going for? And I was like, $1,000 for 3 hours. I quit. And
because you were getting paid. Was DJing your business at that time?
I mean, I was working for somebody else. I was just another employee.
Got it.
I had a lot of side jobs. I was doing real estate, a bunch of other stuff, and I was like DJing weddings once in a while. And so I was like, I'm out. This is nuts. So I looked into buying a photo booth.
And hold on, let me just ask you, how much were you getting paid to DJ photo booths, or to DJ weddings?
Like $200 a night or something like that.
Got it. Okay. And you were sitting there working what, 4 or 5 hours?
Oh, I mean, you're DJing for like 5 hours, and then the setup and takedown and drive time. You're talking like an 8-hour day. Ridiculous.
Make a couple $100. Okay.
Yeah. So when I found out that these guys were renting out these photo booths for $1,000 for 3 or 4 hours, and there's no skill involved, you just set it up and you have a monkey run it. I was like, oh, I need to get out of this. So
I need to figure this out.
Yeah, I could do that. So I called Mike up, and we decided after some research that we could build a photo booth that was better than the ones that were being sold. And we built them, and we didn't have any money at all. So what we did was to finance the building of these photo booths, we ran a Groupon, and before the company was even a thing, and we sold like $15,000 worth of rentals, and they were like, okay, we can afford to build some now.
Wait a minute. And this is one of the things I remember from when we originally talked. You guys took massive action, like from the time you got the idea to the time you built your first prototype. If I'm not mistaken, it was really quick. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, the day Mike called me, I went and bought a program and got a functioning photo booth program working that very same day. I went to Best Buy, bought a camera, a computer, and downloaded the program and had a working kind of model already done that same day.
Yeah, we put together a really simple website a couple days later, ran the Groupon a few weeks later, raised our capital to actually finish building 6 photo booths, and then so we never put really any money into it. Didn't really risk anything. It was always after the sale. We had to prove the concept to ourselves. So we sold it, and then we sold the photo booth rentals, and then we went on to do. We expanded to like 4 other cities, and we had other people running the photo booths. And
well, hold on, back up real quick, because I think this is like an important part. You guys utilize Groupon essentially to launch your business. And just to rewind even one step further, when you built this prototype, Mike Hanson, I'm going to ask you because I think you were the one that built it. Did you have like the full walls and fabric and everything all done, or was it just the software and the camera and like, okay, cool, the concept works now, we just need to build a box to put it in?
Yeah.
Okay, so you built it and just the concept, like, okay, this is easy, it works. And then from there, how long was it from this is like the next day after you were at the convention and saw the thing, right? At this point where you've got something up and working?
So actually, Mike is in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm in Phoenix, and at the time, and so Mike calls me with the idea. And that day, I called 3 other local rental companies to see if I could rent a photo booth for that Saturday. And the minute they told me they were all fully booked, is when I was like, "We're doing this." And I was like, "How much do you guys charge it?"
Did you do that just to determine how?
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that people were actually booking these rentals because I didn't believe that somebody would pay $1,000 to rent a photo booth for a wedding.
And is
boy,
this
was
after
I wrong.
you've built it or before you went and built it?
That was before, so that was the same day. So he called me. I called a few companies to try to rent it. After work, I headed to the store to buy a camera and a computer, and had a photo booth brains really working that night. And it wasn't until, I don't know, a couple weeks later, Mike flew out and we physically designed a photo booth that could fit in our cars and stuff. And really kind of creative acts.
So you got super motivated when you hung up the phone with Mike, called some companies, and then you got further motivated, went out, got everything you needed to get it up and running, and that night you're like, holy cow, I just built one.
Yeah, actually, it was probably about 6 months before I just kept complaining to Mike all the time, like, I hate my job, let's do something, we need to get something started. So as soon as this kind of little light bulb went off and an opportunity, like a niche market, sank in, I was like, let's do it, let's go for it. Like,
what were you doing prior to that?
I was a civil engineer in Phoenix.
Got it. Okay, so you were a civil engineer, Mike was DJing weddings and lugging around equipment and setting it up for, what, $20 an hour? $25 an hour?
Something like that.
Okay.
It was just, I had like 8 jobs at the time. It was just...
You were all over the place. So you picked up the phone, you're like, hey, I just saw this thing. These women are like lining up, and I think this might be a good idea. And then 24 hours later, you have a working prototype.
Yeah.
I think, I think it's...
like real basic prototype. And like, we had to build like the actual construction and stuff later and fine tune it, which we didn't have, I personally didn't have the money to do. So that's why we decided to like, see if we could sell it first, and then we built the website.
That was kind of my next question. So you went, how long was it before you ran the Groupon deal? Did you guys go try and build some prototypes? Did you have a full, like the frame and the walls and everything for your Groupon ad, or?
No, not at all. Like we built a website. I didn't know anything about building websites, so we put a really simple one together and just a little bit of marketing that I understood, and that took like a week. And then I was like, well, let's try Groupon, and we did that like 3-4 weeks later, and booked like 22 events, 23 events, and that just gave us a big check up front. We're like, okay, we can afford to actually build some photo booths.
Wow. If I can just ask, is the construction like PVC? Is it wood? Is it metal?
Back in the day, it was wood.
We made it out of wood in a garage.
It was terrible.
Literally hammer and nails, and us with jigsaws cutting out shapes and like, this might work. All right, let's try this. And let's just say that we are not craftsmen by any means.
And originally you guys were building them to rent. Is that correct? And we'll move on kind of where your business is now. So you were building them to rent, and how did that go down when you delivered to the first few customers who bought the Groupon deal the booth for the rail that night? Were they like, oh, this thing's amazing? Or were they like, man, this thing looks like crap? Or, how did that go down?
They were just happy with it. Like, we put a lot of thought into the experience of the people, and the design that we're using today was pretty much fully functional. We wanted to solve a couple problems. Most photo booths takes really crappy pictures, so we really focused on taking high quality photos, which was a lot of just like guesswork.
Right.
And then most photo booths take about an hour to set up. Ours takes about 3.5 minutes to set up. Most booths you have to move around in a van or a truck. Ours fits in any four-door car. So those were problems that we solved right from the beginning.
So those your initial builds had that built into it.
Yeah.
So even out of plywood, you were able to build something that can be viewed, that can be seen, or it can be folded and put into a car.
We still use those ones. We did a couple updates to it, made it a little bit nicer, but we still use those today.
And people are happy. They're stoked.
Yeah, they're happy with it, you know. So that basic model, 6 weeks, what, go ahead, Mike?
I was just going to say, every time that I ran an event in the last year, it still surprises me that people go, wow, this is awesome. I've never seen anything like this before. Like, how did you guys come up with the idea? Every single event we've run.
Wow.
Even though
and
it's not an original idea.
That. Even years later, it's still the first time somebody's seen a photo booth at an event.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
they just fantastic.
Speaking, in fact, I'm just thinking back in my own experience. Like in one of the malls we used to go to, we had one, but out of all the parties and events that I've been to, I can only think of one that had it, and it was the popular place to be in the party. Like everybody was, how many people can we cram into it, to get shots? And there'd be like 9 people in one photo booth, and you're drinking, the photos are fun.
I think the important thing for your listeners is that we did not come up with an original idea. It's not new or unique. It's been around for 100 years. Other people were already delivering it to this niche market. We just did a slight improvement, and it's working.
No, and I think it's really cool. Like, I want to talk about kind of the transition from the rentals to where you are now with selling them. But before I get there, how long ago was this? How many years ago was this? It's 2013 now, May 2013. When did the idea start? 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yeah. April 2011 is when we officially kind of built the first photo booth.
So you just passed your 2-year anniversary.
Yep. Correct.
Okay, and then so that first year we kind of talked a little bit about the early days. I think it's brilliant, like what you guys did to get funded, the concept, the action you took, how fast you took it, and then using Groupon as a way to kind of fund the build out of some of your first units. After you got the Groupon deal done, did you just cycle through fulfilling that end of the deal, and then referrals just started pouring in and people were calling all the time wanting to rent it, or how did that look after? Because that was what, like 8 weeks in essentially at that point?
Sure. We just started doing a lot of research. Like literally, we knew nothing. Like I didn't even know Google AdWords was a thing, So we just started researching. Like, oh, we can advertise in Google searches. That's neat.
We should do that.
So we started doing.
I remember the very first sale we made from Google AdWords. This lady named Lisa. So we actually had put up our AdWords for the first time, and we're like, oh man, they say it's like $2 a click. This is insane. So our very first day, we get a phone call, and Mike calls me back. He's like, I just booked one. I just booked an event for $1,000. And I was like, we've only spent like $15.
On your first day?
Very first day, we sold the photo booth for over $1,000.
And then it was like a month, and like $3,000 in ad spend before the next one came in, right?
No. It was a couple $100.
It was about $150 per sale after that.
Dude, that's so
but
crazy.
I called her up and spoke to her, and I was just like, what made you decide to go with us? Because I was like, wow, our website pretty basic. She was just like, I looked through all of your materials, and she's like, yours just looked like it was the best. Yeah, basically once she booked the sale, I actually called her and I was just like, so what made you decide to go with us versus all the other ones? And she was like, I've been researching for weeks, and she's like, yours just had like the best quality photos, and you guys seem to really know what you were doing, so I went with you.
So it's just not true.
And we had no idea what we were doing. It was really just how we put it all together on our website.
Yeah,
the internet makes you an expert immediately.
It does, and it's crazy. I don't know how much of your content's changed on your site, but when I looked through it, it was amazing. It like gave me all these reassurances and actually sold me on your products. I don't know how much that's the same or what she went through, the process she went through, but I can see that happening.
That's
so,
awesome.
All right. So, and where are we at this point? Is this 6 months in, 4 months in, 3 months in when you started using Google and getting those results?
2 months. That was maybe 2 months in. Yeah.
Man,
from the original, like, hey, we should do this, and then 2 months later we started doing Google advertising, I think.
Yeah, and at this point you'd done your Groupon. Did you think maybe we should do more Groupons? I think you said earlier more cities in Groupons, or
We didn't never do a Groupon again just because we kind of figured out Google AdWords.
Got it. You said you expanded into more cities, and that probably was through Google AdWords.
Like a month later, we expanded to. We were started in Madison, then we went to Milwaukee, and then we went to another city called Lake Geneva, and then 2 months later we went to Phoenix, and I just set up managers in each of those cities to run the events, and 6 months later, Mike and I are trying to figure out what to do. We have all this free time. We're making okay money.
And can I ask, like, you're 6 months in, how are revenues at this point? Let's just say, like, on a monthly basis, what do they look like?
I think we were making like $30,000 or $40,000 a year a piece.
Got it. Okay. And
that's kind of like what we were on target for at that time.
Yeah.
And
at that point, you guys had what, 5 machines out there, 6 machines out there?
We started with 2, and then we moved to 6 within, I think, a 6-month time frame. So it took us a little bit to build up the other 4 photo booths. And then we had pretty much 2 in each kind of city, paying for other people to run them. And
how did that work? Do you guys just run ads and say, hey, I'll pay you per gig $100 or $200 to go spend 20 minutes setting it up and taking it down?
Yep.
Yeah. We
Craigslist,
college kids.
And they were reliable and good, and you didn't have any crazy issues with that?
No, not really.
No, and they were actually pretty stoked to get $20 an hour to go run an event and go hang out.
Right.
Yeah, and so when you say run an event, do they like hang out and go, okay, you can go in now, you come out, or like, how was that like process?
They just go there, eat food, flirt.
Got it.
Show people how to use it.
They were loving it. I bet.
Right.
What a great, easy gig.
We got so used, like, for me, like, that was a huge step. I was making like $0 a year to like, 30 or 40, and I was pretty stoked about that. But then, I was like, well, this isn't hard. Let's keep going. What else can we do? So we had the option of expanding to like 30 or 40 cities was the plan. Or so we took a trip to Mexico on motorcycles for about 2.5 months, just the 2 of us.
Now hold on. This is so cool because right before this interview, I was on your YouTube channel and looking at your Mexico video, and I didn't realize that. So you got the system kind of up and running, and you thought, I just need my email to tell John Doe that he needs to take this boot to ABC Exhibit Hall.
All we needed is a phone, and so we hired a secretary to take our phone calls, and we'd check our email whenever we had Wi-Fi every few days, and the secretary just like talked to all of our employees so that we weren't really needed.
Was there times when you were in Mexico where you called to check in and she said, oh yeah, I booked 3 and I have so-and-so taking it out on this day? And
yeah, exactly.
Were you just like
running the event the next weekend? And we're like, okay, cool, thank you.
Were you just like looking at each other, high-fiving, like this is unreal?
Yeah, like how did this happen? Within like 6 months, like how did I go from 45 hours a week as an engineer to being able to travel through Mexico for 2 months?
Did you take a pay cut? Let me just ask, taking that step into the business?
First year, yes.
Yeah, but you're totally free and barely.
I don't know if I consider it a pay cut because I went from 40 plus hours a week to 10 hours a week tops when we were really trying, and
no taxes,
all that free time, and I barely lost. I lost like $5,000 a year.
Wow, wow, yeah. So all of a sudden you just go from like, hey Mike, I hate my life, to, dude, we're in Mexico and we just made $2,000 in the last 3 days and we're on motorcycles. Oh, that's amazing. That's such a... You know what? It's so funny. Like, you guys have had one of the fastest paths to a pretty kick-ass lifestyle, and I wonder, like, looking back, what you guys attribute that kind of instant and that super fast success, because a lot of the calls and the interviews I've been doing, people have been grinding for 2 years, making $400 a month, $1,000 a month with big businesses, but because they haven't kind of had that gold moment. When you guys look back, do you attribute anything to your success in getting it up and running so quick?
Yeah, I know exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I'm super lazy. And I mean that in the sense that when we started, I wanted to make a system from the very beginning, and we've always had that in mind, like, let's build the booth so it's super easy to operate, so we can have employees run it, so I don't have to do it. Let's make an accounting system and an email auto-response system that answers questions before they call us, so we don't have to answer the phone. Everything was done preemptively to eliminate work. And the goal has always been to make money, but to get freedom. Freedom was always the goal. So if you change, I think a lot of people are like, I want to make money or I want to make a big business. And if that's your goal, like you don't know how many hours you're putting in, and you don't necessarily think about profit at the end of the day. We always wanted to keep as much money as possible and to keep as much time as possible. So those are our goals, and we usually achieve them.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's just interesting to hear you. What do you think gave you that kind of mindset going into it that made you think that way? Because most people think, okay, I want to build this business, I want to earn revenue, and the lifestyle part comes much later. Did you read a book? Did you have people in your life that was inspiration? Or what do you think kind of set that up in your mind to build it out that way?
You want to go, Mike? Or?
I mean, actually, a while back, Mike gave me the 4-Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss as well.
I knew you were going to say that.
Like the go-to book. It's almost like I almost hate saying it, but it's fantastic, and it kind of really puts things in perspective that time is the real value, and so that's just kind of how we got kicked and going. Like, time is money, so the less I can spend doing the work, the more value I'm actually adding to the business, as well as giving myself that freedom. So the business not taking as much of our time actually made it more valuable in our minds as well. And like later on down the line, I've learned that that's how they say you should model your businesses. Is like the franchise McDonald's is everything is really set up to be as easy and quick and smooth as possible, so that any new owner can just run in and take it over because you've got systems in place.
Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the things you guys didn't mention that's a large factor for your success is the fact you guys took massive action. Massive action.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's true.
You probably went into Best Buy.
I feel like that's what separates us a lot, is that we just do it. You know, we're constantly coming up with new ideas, and instead of like, you know, dicking around on it, like, well, let's just try it. And we try and fail and try and succeed, and then we just go, and we don't worry about the failure, I guess.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, Mike, do you think
We don't fail a lot.
if Mike Hanson hadn't gone out and bought in that booth, or bought in the essential tools to put it together that day, or in general, do you think the business would even ever have see the light of day?
I think we would have done it eventually. I think I just actually impressed Mike. That impressed me about Mike. Usually, I'm the quick start guy. Like, I have like an idea, like we'll just start it, and Mike fills out the details because that's not my strength. But he got jazzed about it and did it, and
It's just such a crazy sequence of events. Like, if I just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, I can see you at this event or wherever. You see the women lined up in the booth. You start thinking about, wow, $1,000 an hour, and you compare it to what you're doing. You pick up the phone call, and then 24 hours later, I think it's unbelievable.
Yeah, hey, got a booth working.
no, literally, I was at the event. I called Mike. I was like, dude, this is it. Like,
Are you like taking pictures of the women lined up, texting it to them? Go look at
like look at this. Look how much they're charging. And he's looking this stuff up while I'm at the event, and I'm like, I'm out. Goodbye. And then
That's crazy. Okay,
I don't know. We were just ready.
Yeah,
You
no,
know?
it was kind of a right place, right time, and I'm really impressed with the way you guys built it up and set it up from the beginning. And like I said, most people have had lots of struggle and trials and tribulations. And I'm sure you guys had your trials and tribulations, but you got to a fairly systemized business fast. And okay, so let's talk about. So you're 6 months in. You guys at this point, you decided, you know what, screw it. Like, money's coming in. We have it set up pretty systemized. Let's go to Mexico for a month, 2 months, 3 months. I mean, was that all predetermined? Was it just, let's just hop on bikes and we'll...
Neither of us had ridden motorcycles before. I was just kind of bored.
You'd never ridden a motorcycle, either of you?
No.
I had when I was a teenager, but that was it.
Once.
Like a little dirt bike.
I had never ridden one before.
Yeah.
But I was bored. Like, the winter was coming in. I literally, like, never worked. So, like, I had nothing to do. So I was like, Mike, let's take a motorcycle trip to Mexico. And he was like, okay. Like, literally, there wasn't even a discussion. He was like, okay.
Sure.
And I kind of knew that having that free time would allow us to come up with the next thing, the next path, which I think is the super important part about building a system. Is that you can work on your ideas.
So that was part of your motivation.
You're not constantly putting out fires.
That was part of your motivation for the trip.
Well, and it's that. It was one of them. My main motivation for anything is just to be awesome. I knew I had to change my social circle because I had been around a lot of just limited mindset people. So I'm like, all right, I need to start doing things that are like I want to do things that other people I would respect would do, that people who are interesting would do. So I'm just going to go out and be interesting, and I will find interesting people. And literally, you're familiar with Dustin Maher? It's a good friend of mine. He's in the Brotherhood. I decided to take that trip, and like 4 days later, I was at a bar, and I met him and another guy, and I just
met him randomly?
Just randomly. And then he's like, oh, what are you up to? I was like, well, I'm actually leaving in a few days to go on this motorcycle trip. And he's like, that's awesome. And then we became instant friends. And through him, after the trip, we got back together.
Had you said, oh, I'm just hanging out on my recliner at home, like...
He would have not paid attention.
Yeah, okay, so keep going, sorry.
But through him, I've met probably 200 other entrepreneurs through the group that you and I are part of. I wouldn't be part of that group if it weren't for him. I wouldn't have met him if I hadn't decided to go out and do this neat thing, and Mike had joined us. So anyways, we're on the trip, and we're trying to figure out what to do next. And we decided that instead of running all the events, which was a lot of work and a pain, I mean, there was a lot of work to do, and you're dealing with brides all the time. Let's just sell them to other people. Let's sell our photo booth design to other people and let them do the work.
And is this something you guys have been kind of mulling over, or was this like it just popped up? Hey, that sounds like a good idea, and then you went and looked at what people were selling them for and did some competitive research?
No, it was kind of a constant battle between do we expand our rental business or do we sell them? And actually, Dustin Maher, Mike's buddy, was just like, you guys need to sell these. He's like, don't expand, just start selling them. And we're like, oh, okay. Right. And that was kind of the catalyst. And we're like, all right, let's make a sales website and let's attempt to sell them.
So we got back and literally like we took 2 weeks to kind of decompress, and then we started building a new website, new videos to sell them. Put up Google AdWords, and again, we didn't build any. We didn't spend any money testing out the new concept. We just put up the website. 4 days later, we made our first sale.
And these sell for like $8,000 or something like that. Is that right?
$8,000 to $9,000.
Yeah. Okay. How much, just out of curiosity, if you're comfortable answering, how much in AdWords spend did you have to get that $8,000 sale?
We spent, I believe it was like $300 or $400 for the very first sale.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. All right. And so again, you guys are just like, holy. And I'm sure.
Well,
look at this return on investment. This is nuts.
Yeah, when you've got cost of building it.
We thought we were going to sell like 10 all year.
You thought you were going to sell 10 all year in 4 days. Here you go.
Yeah, our goal was 10 booths a year. We were like, 10 booths a year will add like 20 grand.
It'll double our income.
This will be awesome. We could add 20 grand to our salary. And we sold 10 within the first 2 months.
You're kidding.
First month.
Yeah, actually the first month we sold 10.
So it took 4 days to get the first one, and then they just started pouring in every few days after that.
Yeah, we were like, we can't build them this fast.
So what do we do? Did you turn down or turn off the AdWords campaign?
No. So again, the same concept of like, let's sell them before we put any money into this. So we sold the first one, and then we were going to build it by hand, and we're like, oh, this isn't going to work. So we just sort of reached out to some folks, and I found a connection to somebody who knew somebody at a factory that kind of makes arcade games and photo booths, and they happened to be in Wisconsin. So
unbelievable.
And they were like, yeah, no problem. So they build us the booths, they assemble them, they put in all the electronics, and they ship them for like, the booth itself is like $600, and then they put in a monitor for like $300. So for like $600, they build and assemble and ship and do everything.
Jeez, I think I would pay somebody $600 to just ship and handle all that end of it. So to have all the materials and everything in it, that's incredible. So you have high margins, and you've removed yourself from having to fulfill the actual orders and found a third party, which I think is so key. Right. And you're actually getting paid for the machine before you ever have to build it.
Too.
What's that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But a key thing is we don't just sell the photo booth. We added extra value. So we were like, we've been renting these things for a year. You know, we understand the market. Here's our Google AdWords strategy. Here's how we do this. So we we kind of put ourselves in a different market. Like everybody else was selling a booth. They were selling a product. Like, here's your photo booth, go run your business with it. Whereas we were like, here's your photo booth, and we're going to help you run your business. And kind of like give you video tips on how to do stuff.
Got it. And have you found...
We don't actually do... We just give them videos. We don't actually do anything.
No, you don't have to show up and do trainings or anything. These are all, once they buy, they get access to a members area, I assume, with all of this training.
You got it.
That helps them build a business or run their business out of it. Is that right?
And we also have the option to build them a website for $1,000 plus a monthly fee, which is just a template that we just copy over and over and over again.
And just drop in names and cities and change the relative stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which we have someone else assemble for us.
For probably $50 or something.
Well, Mike's girlfriend Debbie, who's amazing, I believe is in the background. She handles all of that. You know, she does the website, does all the customer support. She's just great at it.
Oh, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. That's unbelievable. And so, God, there's like 5 different things I want to kind of touch on there real quick. But so you went your first month, you sold 10 units, and all of a sudden, like your eyes are open to a whole new path in business. Not only have you hit your annual goal for that new thing, are you at this point, are you shutting down the rental business and selling used ones because you're just like, okay, this is stupid, we shouldn't be, all this liability that's involved in running this, even though it's pretty hands off, there's still some some headspace that it takes up to think about and make sure everything's running smooth and whatnot. And this is kind of a hands off, a one and done, and you can move on. Was that kind of what happened?
So we sold off the branch in Phoenix, and then we stopped advertising for the rentals here in Wisconsin. I actually just let my sister take over our rental company here in Madison.
Okay. Is she still running it today?
She's starting her first business.
Is she still running it today?
Yeah, she's actually going to be taking over. We just started it back up for her, and she's going to be doing it this summer.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, very cool. All right, so at this point, are we a year in or close to the year anniversary?
That was we sold our first photo booth a year and 2 months in.
Okay.
So we got back from Mexico like mid-April at the year anniversary. Built a new website probably right around June, and then started advertising at the end of June, and then sold our first one like July 5th or something like that. And so 10 months or so have gone by now, and we are at like 103, 104 photo booths sold.
Holy cow! So you guys will hit $1 million in revenue since you started that campaign of launching them. Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, that is impressive with high margins, and you guys are, the two of you are pretty much removed from the equation. It sounds like. I mean, what's your day?
There was a lot of we were more and more removed than we were in the beginning. The beginning, like, we're flying by the seat of our pants. Like, we didn't know how to ship it. We didn't. The factory was making mistakes, and so we, just step by step, like, here's a problem, let's make a system, remove it. Here's a problem, let's make a system, remove it. Let's change stuff around. We, trying to find wholesalers for all the electronics. Like, we began by ordering all this stuff from Amazon, and now we're ordering stuff directly from China and having it shipped to our warehouse. Making like wholesale contracts with computer and camera companies. All that stuff took time.
I think that's a cool thing to just kind of back up and touch on. You built a business out, you got it running, you were building these machines, and then you said, okay, cool, we got this fairly systematized. What can we do to increase revenues? Oh, you know what, maybe we can save money on the parts, maybe we can save money on the monitor, maybe we can save money on the camera.
Right.
So what's that look like? All right, well, so then you just started exploring down how to find guys in China, and...
Yeah, so I've always been kind of the Alibaba junkie browsing. I'm like, I can't believe you can get things this cheap from over here.
Right. That's a great resource for anybody listening or watching this. It's Alibaba.com, right?
Alibaba.com. Yeah,
okay,
it's fantastic.
Yeah. And this is a site that...
they even have Alibaba Express if you want to just buy one or two things. You don't have to buy 100 of a unit.
Got it. Okay.
And so we were buying, like, for example, these light socket things that we needed for our lighting system for $20, for $100. And I went on to Alibaba, found the exact same one, ordered a sample of it for $20, so a fifth of the cost. And
what was this? The lighting?
What's that?
The lighting in the actual booth?
Yeah, so
socket for the lighting.
4-socket adapter that 4 light bulbs go into.
Got it. Okay. And you were
And
paying
so
$100.
$100 here I found it for 20. Ordered a sample. It was fantastic. It was exactly like what we wanted. And she's like, "It's kind of expensive. I know. Maybe you want a cheaper version." And so we ended up getting.
You're like, yeah, what's the $10 version look like?
The cost. So yeah, so we ended up getting. We just bought 200 of them for like $17 a piece when it was costing us $100 a piece.
So what you normally would have paid for 18 of them, you bought 200 all at once. Done.
Yeah.
It's so unbelievable.
Yep.
Okay.
And right to the manufacturer for them to put right inside the photo booth, so we don't even have to ship it.
So you just called your manufacturer and was like, "Hey, by the way, there's a big shipment of lights coming. Just hold on to them and use them as you need them."
Yeah.
Light sockets, yeah.
And they were like, "That's cool. We got space. All right, thank you."
I love it. I love it. Okay, and then you probably went that same whole process down, all the different elements.
Oh yeah, light bulbs, everything. Everything has now been ordered from Alibaba right to the manufacturer.
That's incredible. And then did you guys
So
ever...
that's taken us,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, so that's taken us, 10 months, and I feel like we have just sort of finished all that. I've been spending the last week or two making new website, and making a new sales video, because we've learned a lot. I've learned a ton from our group and all these guys. So we're updating the sales side of it. I just redid all of our email campaign off of Autoresponder Madness, which you guys don't know about that. It's one of the best courses out there on email autorespond systems.
Andreas Kambanis, yeah, that's a great one.
Amazing guy. So I redid all of that, and now that the system is going and there's not a whole lot of stuff to improve, what we're doing now is we're making a competitor to ourselves. So we're going to take the Procter Gamble model. If you guys are familiar with that, they make like Tide and All and basically every kind of laundry detergent there is. And the reason they do that is because there's no more shelf space, so they don't really have competitors. People think that they're choosing between different brands, but really they're all buying from Procter Gamble. So what we're going to do is make a slightly different photo booth and a different company, and so now people, instead of picking between us and our competitors, they're going to be picking between us and our competitors.
And incredible. Are you taking an angle with like a higher, like a nicer one or a lesser one, or the same, or?
Right now, ours is the best on the market, and we charge the most. So we're going to make a slightly less nice one that will compete on price versus our competitors. So then people, if they want the nice one, they can pay the extra price, or they can have still a very good photo booth at the same price as our competitors. So that way we're getting.
And it's going to be better probably than all the competitors at that price, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's incredible. So you guys are, 2 years in and have it built out, and now all your time, it's like revenues are good, things are good, and now it's just like, okay, cool, how can we further maximize revenues? How can we drive in additional sales? And,
right.
Well, the idea is building that competitor will double our company,
I think it might, yeah. I mean, what's the other price points like? Are they like $6,000, $5,000, somewhere in there?
We're going to sell this one for like $6,500, so $1,500 cheaper. And I know that we're selling like 10 to 15 a month of sort of the really expensive one, around 8,000. I think our competitor, who's selling them for $1,500 cheaper, is doing closer to like 25 or 30.
Wow.
So if we can take a piece of that pie, or half of it.
Yeah. Well, and you got to think too. There's only so many buyers out there in the market, so that'll be interesting to see what kind of goes down with that.
The hope is that people will call us up and like, well, we're trying to pick between you and this other company, and it's us. And we're like, yeah, it's a tough decision. They're both good folks.
Oh, you could just say that. I think at that point, you might say that's actually our company, and I own both of them. Is there anything I can do?
Well, see, but they always feel like, because we thought about that. They're like, do we add another booth to our line and have two options? And then we decided, like, no, that's not in our best interest, because they always want to compare two companies for some reason.
Yeah, it's human nature. You want to make sure you're getting the best deal, and people do research,
right,
and get them down to you two at the end. I think it's legitimate to say, yeah, we started this company because the price point to deliver the quality of the high-end one we could not do, so we started another company to service this end of the market, and then you can.
And we want to take up 2 spots on the Google search, so we want to be number 1 and number 2.
Yeah. Are you number 1 now?
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right.
Thanks to Alex Miller, part of the group.
Atwood?
Alex Miller.
Oh, Alex.
Awesome SEO guy.
I'm like, Atwood? I don't remember an Atwood. And we keep mentioning this group, just so anybody listening to this, Mike and I are part of a just a private Facebook group of a bunch of great entrepreneurs.
Secret. You're not invited.
It's a secret. It's like this secret society. I think he said the name of it earlier, and actually, I don't think we're allowed to even say that.
No.
But no, it's just a bunch of guys doing great
Mike's
things.
been banned from the group.
Shit.
Yeah. But no, it's a bunch of guys doing great things that have built kind of great lifestyles, and you guys are just a shining example of it. I can't believe, what you've built in such a short time frame. I mean, it's really, really impressive. And let me ask you this: Do you guys? So now that you are building this out, you're going to build out the competitor, which will probably take, I'm assuming, like a 6-month project to get everything kind of dialed into the point.
Yeah.
No.
No, we'll have that up in a few weeks.
And up and running and done in a few weeks.
All we need is another. We just told our manufacturer, like, here's the design change, build us a prototype. They've done it in like a week.
I literally drew it on paper and sent it to them and said, "Can you please design this?" And they said, "No problem."
That's amazing. Well, yeah, that's probably. I'm not.
All we need is another website. So.
Yeah.
So
Which,
a couple
you know,
weeks,
you
and
crank
the
those out.
systems are all the same, pretty much.
Yeah. That's the beautiful part of it. Is pretty much we're just putting a different name and a very small change to the design.
Got it.
And copying a website and making a few changes.
That's incredible. All right. So, all right, man, very interesting. I'm trying to think of with that strategy, any holes I can shoot in it, but it's just as solid as it gets. And I think it's important you guys serve that segment of the market because you're probably losing some business to that segment.
Yeah, it's like Toyota and Lexus are owned by the same company, so
Yeah.
we should be doing that too.
Man, so that's just really cool. And I'm just trying to think of where to take this from here. What's your guys' day-to-day like now? I mean, are you putting 4, 5, 10 hours a day into the business, or?
I mean, the business right now actually pretty much runs itself. We've got a sales guy who answers the sales calls. My girlfriend runs most of the day-to-day email response. She's actually on top of ordering all the replacement parts if we need anything, customer service. So we've really just been kind of working on creating the new project or new sales video, like Mike said, with things we've learned. And I've been A/B testing our website. I'll change a color on a button, and all of a sudden conversions go from 18% to 20%.
Sure.
And getting an extra 2% of people to give me their email adds up. And
Big time.
so we're kind of working on optimizing it now.
Yeah, no, I think that's an important stage in my business, doing the exact same thing. And it's funny, if you have a site that gets X number of visitors a day, if you can increase the amount of people taking action, either purchasing or opting in. But yeah, it's fun running the business at that level because it's like, all right, cool, we've got this machine that's operating, making money, let's fine tune it. And okay, so what's the future look like for Strike a Pose aside from building your own competitor or a second line of products for the business?
We're also making a photo booth that will go in bars. That should be also done here in the next week or two. Again, it was just like, here's a design on a napkin and have our manufacturer make it. So that'll be done. For us, I foresee us in 2 months not really having anything else to work on at all in that company, and it'll just be we're going to be bringing on a project manager, and basically he's going to be he's our sales guy right now, and we're going to put him on full time. And basically, Mike and I are going to come up with ideas, and we're going to teach him everything we know. He's going to build us new companies, essentially. So
that's amazing. Dude, I love the bar idea. And you know what? I don't know if you guys are already thinking this way or not, but several years ago, there used to be this bar that a friend of mine in Long Beach would frequent. I can't remember the name of it. It started with a Z. No, it wasn't Long Beach. It was Huntington Beach. Zeds or something like that. But anyway, one of the cool things was they had a camera in the bar. And so he'd be like, hey, dude, I'm going to the bar. And I was back in Ohio, and I'm like, crap, I wish I was there. But I can watch you on camera, and this should be kind of fun. It was voyeuristic, so I almost think if you could incorporate some sort of element where the photos that are in the bar get posted on a website, I think that could be
Funny,
Huh?
Because we're actually going to be, for our bar booth, we have a new social media software that we were helping develop that users at the bar can upload directly to their Facebook page. They can tweet it. It can be put onto the bar's Facebook page. The bar can require a like in order to put it on their page. And so basically now the bar's brand could be shared all over the internet instead of just people taking pictures.
Oh,
So
God, that's so money. Well, whenever you guys launch that and get some bars to implement it, let me know. I want to put it underneath this interview so everybody can see it, but I want to see it myself. I think it's going to be amazing to see how it kind of gets deployed in real time. I know
to get back to what you were talking about lifestyle wise, like right now Mike and I are still putting in time building out new ideas. Like we create an idea and like, oh, now we have to actually build it, which is we want to remove ourselves from that process. So basically all I want to do is like Mike and I hang out, go on trips. We're like, hey, what would be a cool idea? Let's have Eric build that for us. And then he will, find the fulfillment for it, and he'll build the website, and he'll do the Google AdWords, and he'll make the videos, and we'll pay him hourly to do that.
Yeah, and that's totally don't ever for a half second think that's not achievable, because I've talked to several people who've got project managers in place and business managers that do that exact thing. And I think it's funny is like one of the downfalls I see that a lot of people make, when they kind of hit this kind of success and lifestyles is I don't want to say taking their foot off the gas, but it's almost just like stopping the cruise control or something, so that the business cruises, ramps up, they make great money, and then because they completely remove themselves, most of the time it's because they become passionate about other projects and other businesses, but the business that gave them the leverage to be able to spend their time doing that, they take their eye off of it, and competitors creep into the space, different things change about the way traffic gets to their site, and then all of a sudden, what was once bringing in $20,000 a month is now down to $1,000 just in a year or 2 years' time. And those that I've seen that have been able to kind of sustain it successfully have a game plan where every month there's 10 hours or whatever, and they're just, okay, cool, how are things going? How are sales? How are numbers looking with their business managers? And then infusing new ideas into it based on what's going on in the marketplace and just whatever they learn. Or could be conversations with the guy at a bar that says, hey, you should start selling these. And then that ends up getting translated to the business manager, and boom. So I think
it's a very good point.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, and it's almost sad for when I hear it when guys that have gone through that, because it's like, oh man, you had to do so little to stay on top, and but yet I get it because you've been passionate about this business and you focus on that, and it was such a gradual decrease that anyway. So. Very cool. All right, so any projections or revenue ideas so you guys in 2012, or 2013, it sounds like you guys are definitely break over $1 million with really good profit margins and very little time. Have you guys laid out projections or goals or whatever to hit, or is it more just continue building?
Yeah, well, we blew away the goal of selling 10.
That still gets incredible. You did that first month.
Yeah, we're on track this year for 1.1 million in revenue.
Yeah, so you guys should set a goal.
And that's
before the competitive,
without launching the competitive photo booth. So.
And that's 2013, you're saying.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you guys should make a goal to like double your revenue, and you have a pretty good track record of. Maybe you can turn that into 10 million by the end of the year.
We're hoping to triple it, actually. We're hoping to triple it this year because we're launching these 2 other spin-offs of it. And hopefully by like July, those spin-offs are running and we have the project manager, and Mike and I are just working on new projects that, like selling stuff on Amazon. I get really excited talking to Matt Clark. I don't know if you've talked to him at all, but he does some amazing stuff on Amazon. And I just want to start cranking out new products that like we conceptualize, and so I really don't want to put a limit on it. I feel like once you learn this knowledge and you learn how the system works, that you can just take one product and insert it in, and just repeat. So, and it takes so little to try a new idea and so little investment to try a new idea. That why wouldn't you just keep going? And eventually, like, I feel like I'll be satiated and just not necessarily want more money. I would just want to relax, but I don't know, maybe I'll get bored. I don't know.
You're that, you'll discover
I've
something.
got the hunger. I'm the opposite.
Yeah, because Mike Hanson, you're now in...
I like the thrill of creating something new.
Yeah, and where are you now, though? You're in Maui?
Waikiki.
Waikiki. Are you living there now or just on vacation?
I'm living here for 4 months over the summer.
That's incredible. And so you're taking up surfing. We were just talking before we got started. You're learning how to surf, and
Yeah, so since we can do pretty much all of our work from home, we don't have any job to go to. I said I kind of threw a dart at a map almost, and it was either Austin, Texas, or Waikiki. Put up an ad on Craigslist saying looking for a place for the summer, and a guy emailed me, so I came and I took his crash pad here. This is all somebody else's place, all their furniture and everything. Gonna live here for 4 months, learning to surf. I did some awesome snorkeling yesterday where I saw a white-tipped reef shark, and I videotaped a sea turtle swimming around. It's awesome, man. I love it.
Dude, how cool is that? Seeing sharks in the water is something else, isn't it? Man, I still can't get over how fast you guys have taken a concept, turned it into a business, and are rocking and rolling. And would you say your lives have changed since that phone call and seeing that?
Oh, like literally, I was like doing a bunch of. I was a musician with a bunch of like random jobs. I was at food stamps. I was making like, I think my tax return from the year was like $6,000 or something. And so to have.
And now you guys are both Sarah. It's fair to say you guys are both earning six-figure incomes.
Yeah.
Doing something that you're super.
That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, like it's just unbelievable. And man, I'm. Was that an event that you went to, like a wedding planning event or something? How did you?
It was like a wedding expo. That it's just DJs and other people trying to sell their wares.
And your boss asked you to go there to work the booth, probably, or
yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then you saw that. God, how cool is that? You were probably like, crap, I don't want to go work at this stupid wedding expo. Or maybe you were like, I need the $20 an hour. And
yeah, I did. I was broke.
Yeah, you were excited actually.
Yeah. For me, like the money's great and all, but the thing that has changed my life the most is, or that I am most appreciative, is the freedom of time and place. When I see my friends, they're like, "Oh, I get 10 days off a year." I go, "What?"
Yeah.
I don't even know. That doesn't even I can't even conceptualize that, because I can just at any moment, at any time, get on a plane, go somewhere, and take off as many weeks as I want, answer emails if I have to. But we don't need to be anywhere. The only thing that's going to happen is that we don't come up with a new idea or something. Like things keep running. It's on autopilot. Like we're only working because we want to do more.
Yeah, and you want to maximize what you've got. You are a true, shining example of exactly kind of what the Money Pillow is all about. And I can't thank you guys enough for doing this interview. I'm still just flabbergasted at the rate of success you guys had, the way you built it. And I'm going to go back and listen to this. I think there's a lot of good nuggets that I probably just missed thinking about some other things that you had said. But it's just, I'm baffled. It's not, you're probably one of the few success stories. I don't consider it luck. I think you guys, some people I've talked to had luck. And it's just like, okay, well, yeah, that was pretty lucky. But this is just something like, it was very calculated. It was built from the very beginning to run a certain way, to afford a certain lifestyle. And you guys would probably have to be shocked too that it worked out as well as it did, looking back on it. And
yeah,
this is
our mindset has changed. When we were thinking 10, because we couldn't even fathom that there would be that. And now our mindset is so open. Like there's no limits anymore. Like why not? Like you said, 10 million. Like that's fine. Like that's totally doable. Like why not? The thing I've learned from watching other entrepreneurs who are just coming out and kind of comparing to what we're doing is that we don't do anything cool. Like most people are trying to come up with the next social platform or Instagram or harnessing the web. It's just really clever ideas, right?
Right.
But they don't make any money, or they're hoping to do something and then get bought out by Google at some point and hit it big. I want to do things that are really simple, that I know people want, that are proven, that I can improve myself a little bit, and just do that over and over again. I try to hit singles. I don't try to hit home runs. We just take simple things that I know will make money. We don't take risks. We make money before we spend it.
That's another great thing about the business you guys have. It's still unbelievable to me. So that's huge, man. Well, huge thanks. I don't know if, you because I'm still like just a little flabbergasted at everything. I didn't realize things were this good. You guys, it must have been pretty close to this good when I met you in San Francisco, and you didn't really allude to the fact, or if things changed that much just in the last 4 or 5 months that it's gotten that much easier. And
No,
better.
when I met you in San Fran, we kind of just started selling the booths. That digital marketer event, we were there to learn some tips and tricks on how to, really start selling some more.
Right.
And we had already sold like 60 or 50 by then.
Yeah, we had sold about 50, and then we were kind of like, okay, how do we start kicking more ass?
Right.
And that's when we decided to go to the digital marketer event. And
That's so cool. And did you guys get wind of that because the group we're in?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I think is another important thing. Mike, you touched on it briefly just a minute ago, but the folks you associate, you were talking about doing things to attract cooler people into your life or people that were doing bigger things, and that event might have been a game changer for you. It might not, but those.
Well, we learned a ton about it.
You did, yeah. But that all came from associations that you had through friends and people that you hung out with and spent time with. And,
which was a mind shift for me because, I think a lot of us when we're younger would pretend to be this kind of person, or if I learn to do this and spend this money or dress this way. And what I have learned to attract awesome people into your life or awesome women is just be awesome yourself. Just go out and make yourself a better person, do interesting things, be interesting, you'll meet interesting people.
I couldn't agree more, man. You like attracts. I think I just muted myself. I was saying I couldn't agree more, and like attracts like, man. If you become the kind of person that you want to have, friends like that, then it naturally will happen. And it's interesting for me with my move from Santa Barbara out to Santa Barbara from the Midwest, and just being around a mentality of people that, the average house price in this town is somewhere around $1 million. Where I came from, it was probably around 150,000. And both are great places. I'm not putting one down or building one up, but the type of people that I meet on a day-to-day basis and the people that I associate with, it's a different level. And I remember living in Ohio thinking about a $2 million home. And living in a $2 million home, it's like I'm a king, I've made it. And now it's like, crap, I really want to live on that lot on the beach in my neighborhood that's like where the houses are like 15 and 50 million. But yeah, just surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, and even
just leave it in.
Being in different environments can make all the difference in the world. So, very cool. Well, you know what? I'm going to shut up and actually mute myself because my kids have made a habit of some reason coming in right now and making a lot of noise, and just leave kind of any final. I don't know if you have any closing words of wisdom you want to share, looking back on what we talked about, or just something you didn't touch on, or just anything in general. But I'll turn it over to either of you or both of you to kind of share anything you want with our audience here.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think the most important thing that I've kind of learned over the last few years is you've got to open your mind up that it's not a few lucky people that make the break and kind of come through. You really have to put in the effort, find your market, and just do it. Just put in the time, open your mind up, read a few books, get some ideas, talk to your friends, and just make it happen. Like, really just, when we had the photo booth idea, I went out, bought all the stuff that day, put it all together, and made it work, and did my research. Like Mike said too, we didn't spend any money until we actually made the sale. Make the sale before you spend too much time on your idea.
Or money.
There's too many people that I believe they call them entrepreneurs, that have this fantastic idea, and they work on it, and then nobody wants it. Don't do something that nobody wants. Find something that people want, and then work towards it.
Solve a problem.
That's it. Find the market first, basically.
Yeah, Mike Tecku, you just said something. I mean, Mike Hanson, first of all, that was all beautiful. And Mike Tecku, you came in and said something at the end that I think you guys did. Probably a large part of your sales, you solved a problem in that most of these booths were not very portable. And that's probably a big differentiator for you guys in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So
solve the problem.
The other thing we've learned is it's much easier to sell something if it helps people make money, or if it helps people get healthy, or if it helps people find love. If you can, hit health, wealth, or love, you're solving a need, an actual problem. Those are really easy things to do, and people will pay you money for that. If you're coming up with something that is just neat or clever or unnecessary, it's going to be a much harder climb. So be somebody's hero, the old saying.
Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, when we work on businesses or products in our business, it's always The angle is always how can we save time or make more money, and that's what you guys have done. So very cool. Well, again, guys, huge thanks. This is going to be a big hit. I mean, I'm going to have to really go back over this again and dissect a lot of stuff because you guys have by far been one of the most calculated, the fastest growth, and gotten to your goals. And I don't think you started out to earn $1 million in revenue. That wasn't your thing, but you hit that and you've done it so fast. It's mind-blowing to me. So congrats on building a great business, and I look forward to kind of following you guys in the future and seeing what you come up with. And be sure to remind me when you get the bar one posted. I want to see how that actually plays out in real life. That's going to be pretty cool.
Sounds good, man. I'm gonna be out in California sooner than later, and you're gonna give me a surf lesson.
I will. Well, and you've got a place to stay. We've got this spot here in the house that goes unused all the time. So I've got surfboards and wetsuits for you, and everything. So you have no excuse.
Sounds good, man. Thanks for the chance to get for the chat.
Awesome, guys.
Yeah,
Man,
thanks
thank
a lot,
you.
John.